We get to come out and help support the local unit and help support the firefighters who are assigned to the fire, giving them all the things that they need to be successful and well cared for, making sure they have food. That's why the catering trucks come in, making sure they can get a shower at the end of the day, that they have medical supplies, all of those things that they need, but also to support the local land management agencies who, after this many days with a large fire on the landscape, have had a lot of work to do and could use the extra support and help to care for those firefighters and to care for you as the communities. The objectives on this fire have always been full suppression of both fires, and that has been the goal, to be done in a safe manner, to maintain relationships, communication, and collaboration. And with the number of agencies that are involved in that, there's been a lot of really good collaboration taking place in partnership. The firefighters are out there to protect the property, the natural resources, as well as the cultural, the recreational values that are there, as well as looking out for local business concerns, homeowners, citizens, and even visitors. So there's a lot of coordination going on behind the scenes to support the firefighters and support the efforts that are taking place out there. So this evening, some of the pieces that we're going to talk about specifically, again, include the evacuations and closure areas that are in place, the actual operations that are taking place on the ground. You'll hear about that, and you'll hear some of the leadership and management perspective from some of our land management agencies, as well as the incident commander for Great Basin Team 4, who is the lead in charge of all of us who are working and assigned to the fire. As each speaker comes up, they will introduce themselves and their role in association in this effort. And then once we get to the last speaker, we will have a chance for a few very broad, big picture type of questions. And then after that, we'll break and allow folks to have conversations with those who are here, with the folks who are wearing uniforms, wearing fire shirts, etc. And we'll be around to look at some of these smaller maps that are posted around, talk about your more specific questions and needs. So we will we'll wait till that very end there to have some of those question and answer time. And as I think I have hit everything on my list, I'm now going to turn it over to Jake Wynn, who's the Acting Forest Supervisor.
Hey, good evening. Jake Wynn. I am the Acting Forest Supervisor for the Rogue River Siskiyou National Forest, and I'd like to welcome you to this meeting and recognize that we're here in your community. I'm normally from Roseburg, Oregon. I'm working down in the Rogue River Siskiyou, and this summer I've been in Gold Beach most of the time. So that's just how it's been. And there are worse places to be, and I appreciate, your local communities out here, and I want to make it clear, I hope tonight we can help you understand what we're doing on behalf of your communities and the natural resources in the area. And as Jesse mentioned, from the very beginning, our goal has been full suppression on this fire. It's been in a very difficult place and has really challenged us. And so you'll hear more about the details of that from others. The other thing I really wanted to mention is that this is a team effort. You just heard from Jessie. She's part of the Great Basin Incident Management team that is here. Those teams come to help us. They bring capacity. When a fire gets large like this, we don't have the capacity locally to take care of all the firefighters, to manage all aspects of the fire, to set up the communication, and also they come here on behalf on our request. They're working for us, for the Rogue River Siskiyou National Forest, and also for Coos Forest Protective Association that protects the non-federal or the non-Forest Service lands in this area. So I just wanted to make it clear that they're here to help us, and they also, as Jesse mentioned, provide all the support that the firefighters need to do the great work that they do out there on the ground. And so other members of the team, we've got, as I mentioned, Coos Forest Protective Association, Rogue River Siskiyou National Forest, all the rural fire departments, Oregon State Fire Marshals, Curry County Government, Sheriff, and many others who help with this effort. And so while the team is here providing coordination and sort of heavy logistical lift and operational lift, we've got all sorts of your local government officials and the federal officials, et cetera, working closely together to make this to protect your communities, help with evacuations, put the fire out, etc. So I really wanted to emphasize that. And we recognize that the fire is on the edge of residents around here. It's threatening private timberlands, tribal lands, and much, much more. So we're focused on it, and I'm going to pass the microphone on to Dan Quinones, who's going to give you a bit of history on how this fire started and what we've done to date. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dan.
Good evening, everybody. Honored to be in front of you today, and I can't help but think that as I look at a packed room here, I can only assume the online audience is pretty similar. You guys have some questions, some interest, and some concerns about the Anvil fire. And I want to share, to start off, that we have those as well. We're fully engaged, but we do have concerns with the upcoming weather forecast, the terrain that this fire is burning in, and the fuels as well. And we're on. So one thing I've learned throughout my career is that words mean things. You've heard the word management several times up here. I want to be very clear. We are not managing anything. We are attacking. Okay? It's a very tough piece of ground, but we're not going to shy away from it being locals. And our desire here is to make sure that the Great Basin team, like Jesse mentioned, where they come from, it's not South Coast, it's not Port Orford, it's not from this community. That's our job, to make sure that they have the best information, the local knowledge, and all the tools available to them to utilize at their disposal. To date, from initial attack on, and in the future as well, there have been no restrictions on any equipment use, aircraft, ground, or otherwise, from the U.S. Forest Service. That includes dozers in the wilderness. So if that message is out there, just want to stop that one right now. If they can use a tool and it makes sense and it is safe to do so, we fully support them doing everything they can to put this fire in check, to protect your communities and the things that are valuable to you. So let's take a minute to go back to August 25th. That's when this fire started. It came from that lightning strike, or the lightning storm that came through overnight, and then the following day at 12:23 p.m. on August 25th, this fire was first detected. It was 5 acres. We immediately launched smoke jumper aircraft, and the smoke jumpers got on scene and could not find a jump spot. You guys know as well as we do, a lot of trees, very big trees. They could not find a spot to get into. So we redirected them to another fire. We had numerous fires throughout the 1.8 million acres on the Rook-Siskiyou, and we put them to use. We immediately went to our other assets available, the rappel crews that rappel out helicopters from 300-foot ropes. Those aircraft were smoked in from the other fires in the area. They could not get out of the helibases to come to this fire. So we launched a ground assault. I want to thank CFPA. They immediately sent over a dozer to get that Grassy Knob Wilderness Road opened and help us gain access with a couple of crews. And then following on, we did actually get our rappel crews later that day on scene once the smoke cleared and they could maneuver their way through. They took some risk. You know, the visibility is required to be a half-mile plus for them to fly. We were stretching it, but we know that we wanted to get this thing out and get it staffed, otherwise it was going to be a problem. We know what these fires do in this country. They had to rappel 2 miles away just due to the fire behavior, but they did get in there. The 2 crews, the dozers, everybody converged on this fire, and we caught this fire at 25.6 acres. Being very steep, extremely rugged terrain, what a beautiful area. It's very hazardous as well. And we did have an injury of a firefighter on the ground, way down deep in the drainage. It's a 2-part system around here, right? You got to catch these fires, and then you got to hold on to them. So in an effort to hold on to them, a rolling rock on the steep terrain from the burning material above hit one of our firefighters and broke his leg. We had to find a way to get him out. It was going to be hours and hours to try and pack that individual out, which was just not feasible. Utilizing our other aircraft that we had available to us, again, we just couldn't get in there. So thank goodness we have the U.S. Coast Guard that came in with their hoist aircraft, had clear air, got in there and helped our injured firefighter get out. Unfortunately, in that effort, however, the steep canyons and the rotor wash from the aircraft blew the fire over the line. No fault of anybody. We got the firefighter out, and we do it again and again. But now we have a fire to deal with that we need to continue to put effort into, and we've been doing that ever since. So just wanted to share what our stance is and make that very clear. We need you folks to support us, support each other. As was mentioned, we are a community. We're all networked and knitted together. Oftentimes we get asked, hey, what can we do for the firefighters? Putting signs in your yards or in the community are actually a big help to us. And also sharing our story, sharing the fire's story and how the community is involved is really important to provide that energy and that boost that we need. Waking up at 5 in the morning, going to bed at 10, 11 o'clock to try and get a little bit of sleep, day in and day out. It's a grind. But we signed up for this. You folks didn't. We are public servants. We take that seriously. Hopefully you can hear the information you need tonight. Please ask questions. Please engage us. I'm not going to go anywhere tonight until your questions are answered. Thank you so much for being here, and hopefully we can provide some calm to the chaos and share information that is important to you all. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name is Kevin Norton. I'm one of the operations section chiefs with the Team 4. So I just want to say I appreciate the opportunity to come here tonight and give everyone some information on what's going on. I know there's a lot of smoke in the air, and it's causing a lot of, there's a lot of fear down here, I can imagine. So I just want to go through some of the details of what the folks up on the hill have been doing. As you all know, we had some east winds that came up a couple of days ago. That pushed the fire from the Grassy Knob over this area right here off the end of the Grassy Knob Road and pushed it down towards the Elk River corridor. So right now we have folks that are actively engaged in holding the fire along the Elk River down in the bottom here. We did have one spot that came across the road, and folks engaged that immediately once it was discovered. Got in there, took care of it. Right now they're working on that. It looks like it's going to hold, and that's the only spot fire that was found across that river and across the road, which is really good news right now. We obviously recognize that there's a lot of homes, a lot of buildings down in the Elk River corridor, and so we're focusing on that area, focusing a lot of our efforts in doing what we can to prevent the fire spread towards those structures. And so, like it was mentioned before, we're using a lot of aircraft to dump water on the fire to keep it in check, to give time for the firefighters to get in and find points that they can stop the fire from moving down canyon. It was also said that the terrain is steep, it's rugged. There's already a significant injury at the beginning of this fire, and that's on our mind. We have lots of young firefighters out there, and our number one priority is to get them home. And so we take that seriously, and so when we make decisions on where to put folks, we're taking that into account. And so right now what we are doing is we're focusing on some ridge lines that we're building fire lines in coordination and working with the CFPA down off the Grassy Knob down to the Elk River and the road in there. And the hope is that we can stop the fire spread from further progressing up the drainage. So that's what we're doing in this area with a lot of folks that are working on the southwest side of the road right now, putting in dozer line, using other equipment, using hand tools and chainsaws to work on building line that we might be able to use to hold this fire if it were to cross the river. So with that, moving up and around, obviously the Sixes River corridor with the structures involved there, that's on our mind as well, even with the forecasted east and northeast winds. So right now we're working on, in coordination with the CFPA, building fire line up and around into near the tribal lands and on the tribal lands to keep the fire from moving up into or down into the Sixes River corridor there. A lot of work ongoing, a lot of work to do. Obviously everyone knows it's really big country, really big trees. So we're doing everything we can to get in there and get out ahead of the fire so we can prevent it from moving into any of the homes, any of the structures, all that's important to everyone here. So with that, I just want to close on just letting everyone know if you have any questions, by all means, I'll be here to answer any questions you have, any specifics. I want to let everyone know that we're working in close coordination with the Coos Fire Protection Association and other partners in the area to really do the work that we can in there to stop the fire. So with that, thank you.
Well, I tell you what, you come to a place like this, you really see the community engagement. You're concerned about your community, and we all are. I've been your sheriff for the last 9 years, and been with the sheriff's office for 32 years. I've been here with a lot of fires. I've born and raised here, so it's my job to provide public safety and do the evacuation when we have a situation like this. And when I was notified that there was a fire in the Grassy Knob Wilderness, We were in there about a week prior to that on a search, and we know how steep and rugged that is and how thick and big timber it is and how treacherous it would be to fight a fire. So it's not easy, and they're doing the best they can to fight those fires. Like I said, I'm in charge of doing evacuations. I'm not a firefighter. All I can tell you is I was told there's a BFF, and it doesn't mean best friends forever, so. You can probably guess what I'm trying to say, so, without having to say it. But when we found out that it was going on, we were able to get on some maps with an incident fire team and make some evacuation zones in there. So and there was some trigger points, management action points. When those hit those points, we either turn it in from a level 1 to a level 2 or a level 3. So the Elk River corridor from about the fire hall is about milepost 4 on up to the fish hatchery and up to Butler Bar. We made that all a level 2 area. And then yesterday morning about 6 o'clock, I woke up saying, hey, the fire has touched the management line, and it's not looking good. So I gathered up my deputies and came up here, and we were able within a couple hours get notifications out to everybody that were affected in that zone of a level 3. And we don't expect you just to leave. We understand, when you're on a level 2, it tells you, be ready, get stuff set to go. Get all your stuff packed up, what you need to take with you, and when you get notified of a level 3, that means go. We're not going to come out and pull you out of your house or anything like that, but we may not be able to come back and get you if you don't leave. So it's very important that you follow the signs of, or the notifications to the T. And when you are evacuated out, we patrol the areas in and out, and we get some help from the OSP and federal law enforcement officers. We'll stay in the area and patrol those areas to keep people out of your residences and people out of the area that don't need to be there. But we all know we have people that like to take advantage of targets like that, and we've seen it, and we want to try to mitigate that as much as we can. I just want you to know that we will do the best we can to protect you guys, protect your property, because you're our family, and I just want you to know that you can count on us. Some of people have been given my cell phone number to check on fires. I don't know what the fires, I'm not a fire guy. All I know is you put the wet stuff on the red stuff. And other than that, I take the information I get from the incident fire team to make our decisions. And so we stay in contact daily. So we make sure that we have the information we need to do what we need to do for evacuations and help people out. That's all I got. If you have any questions, I'll be around when it's over.
All right, Sheriff's right when he said BFF, isn't he?
So my name is Brad Alcorn. I'm your county commissioner, and I play 2 roles in this emergency that we have going on here. The first is as your county commissioner. So what does a county commissioner do in this fire? Well, I'll tell you what I do. What I do is I make sure that I'm a voice for all of you. I make sure that you have the resources that you need and you deserve. And when we don't get those resources, I advocate for them, and I make sure that we get them. I also communicate. I communicate every day, multiple times with Sheriff Ward. I communicate with the incident command staff here. I communicate with our state emergency managers, and I communicate with the fire behavioral specialist, with the meteorologist, and I attend every meeting, and I'm part of every decision that happens. I am your voice. The other thing that I do is I oversee emergency management. So I want to talk about that for a minute. So the sheriff mentioned the evacuation zones. So I want to kind of explain to you how important those are and how that works, okay? So the way that, first off, the person responsible for designating an evacuation zone is the sheriff. He is responsible for that. That's his role, that's his job. He has the ultimate say in it. Now, he doesn't just drive down the road and say, okay, I'm going to I'm going to have an evacuation zone here. There's a lot that goes into this, and I want to kind of explain that to you. So the way this works is we'll have several meetings throughout the day. And Sheriff Ward, myself, the incident commander, the fire behavioralist, the meteorologist, the experienced firefighters that are on this fire, we will all meet together, we'll look at this map, we'll talk about the behavior of the fire, we'll talk about the upcoming weather, we'll talk about where our management lines are on this map, and then the sheriff has a lot of experience with fire. Chetco Bar, Klondike, the list goes on and on and on. So we've got a sheriff that knows what he's doing. He also knows the terrain. He knows the area. So the sheriff takes all of this information in. We have a very lengthy discussion. And then if an adjustment needs to be made in an evacuation zone, it's made that way. Now keep in mind, he's already viewed it by air. He's driven it. He's been up there. So there's a lot that goes into the decision making around that. It's very thorough. It's very complete. I've watched it happen many times on a couple of fires now, and it's very well done, and I'm very comfortable with it for sure. So, from an emergency management perspective, what does emergency management do? Well, they develop a plan that supports the incident commander, the sheriff, and the community. And of course, the question everybody has is, well, what's the plan? What do we do? Well, the fire dictates what we do. The direction of the fire, the rate of the fire spread, the areas that are about to be impacted, where our management lines are, where our trigger points are, where our evacuations areas are, who's impacted by that. There's a lot of things that go into what the plan is. So to say, well, when the fire gets here, we're going to go there, it's not that simple. What's really important to know is the staging of resources. So the very first thing I did after I talked to Sheriff Ward, he called me at 6 o'clock in the morning. I called, where's GT? GT, raise your hand. GT's in the back of the room. GT is with our state emergency managers. I called him, that was my first call, and I said, hey, we've got some movement, we've got some things happening, I need you here. And he immediately came here. So GT has access to all of the state resources. So if we have a situation where we have a fire moving quickly, we have already staged Red Cross resources, we have already staged state resources, whatever we need to impact that evacuation, locations, it's all dictated by the fire. But we have primary plans, secondary plans, and contingency plans to those plans. And I will not fail when it comes to that, absolutely not. And that's why getting him here it's just invaluable to me. It's a resource that you all deserve. I want to talk a little bit about animals. So I know there's some community concerns about, okay, I have livestock. What do I do? What do I do with my livestock? What's the plan with livestock? Well, I can help you out with that in a little bit more detail. So I don't know if you know Ruth Dixon or not. She's a community
I'm
here
member
to represent
Ruth. She's not able to come today, and I also have some paperwork to give out to folks about it.
Perfect.
She's a short item within the Northland.
Perfect. I talked to Ruth right before I came here. We had a long conversation. She asked me to give out her phone number. I'll give you that in just a second. But what Ruth has kind of done what our emergency manager's done, set up different areas that we can take livestock to, how we can get them there, et cetera. And then, of course, we'll be helping her with that if we need to do that. Smaller animals, we have Wild Rivers in Gold Beach that has created space if we need it. Also, my wife is the director of South Coast Humane Society. She has resources available there too, which we can access, and space. So Ruth Dixon, her phone number, she wanted me to give this out tonight, is...
Before you say that, will you bring this up just a little bit?
Sure.
Folks online. Thank you.
It is 541-373-0554.
Say that one more time.
I will. 541-373-0554. And that's Ruth Dixon. Another question that I've been getting frequently via email and by phone is, what can we do to help? What can we do to help if we enter into a situation where we're going to be evacuated, or we sense that we are, or we get evacuated? What can we do to help? So the very first thing is really what this community does well, and that's communicate with each other. Know your neighbor, share a phone number, check on them regularly, check on them daily. Just go up and just say, how you doing? Talk about the fire. Talk about where it's at. Talk about what you heard. They'll tell you what they heard. Communicate. That's the number one thing. The next thing is Everbridge. Okay, Everbridge is the system that this county uses to alert you to changes in evacuation zones and areas. So if you're not on Everbridge, that's a cell phone system, you'll get an alert on your phone. If you're not on Everbridge, then you need to be. So you can access the county's website. There's all the information you get on Everbridge there. If you're not and you don't have access to get on the website, come and see me after the meeting. I've got a QR code here that you can scan your phone and you can have access to Everbridge. Okay? Stay informed. These guys do an amazing job of putting out information regularly on social media and other platforms. So make sure that you're following what they say. Not necessarily some of the social media comments, but if you hear something from Jesse, it's good information. So share that information. Share that information within the community. And then another question I get frequently is, how can I donate? Firefighters are out there. I want to give them food. I want to give them water. I want to give them resources. They're working their butts off. I want to help. Well, the fire folks that are here, they're self-contained. They have protocols, they have contracts, they have rules and regulations, and they can't just accept just anything. But what you can do, that's really important, is you can donate to the Red Cross. You can donate things to the Red Cross that can be used now and later when there are evacuations or there's a need for resources. I'm going to stick around. If you have any questions, come and see me. If you feel like you're not getting enough information, come and see me. I'll give you my cell phone number, and I can call you and give you regular updates. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Good evening, everyone. Mike Robinson, District Manager for CFPA, Cruise Force Protective Associations. Another acronym, right? CFPA. So we've been in this community as long as the rest of you guys, right? So we're from 1910 forward, and it is in our DNA to not have fire on our landscapes. We don't like it at all. So this fire has been very challenging for a number of reasons. You heard Jake Wynn talk about working together, collaborating, being partners, and we take that very seriously because we cannot do our jobs by ourselves anymore. Those days are over. So we lean on each other to be successful at taking fire off the landscapes. We've been doing it, we've been practicing it, unfortunately, too much in the last 5 to 6 years. So this fire has been a challenge for several reasons. You guys have all seen this fire for 2 weeks now, and so have we. We've been planning on what are we going to do with this fire. The problem is that there's no access in there, so it's hard to get to. So yesterday, we had a nice fall day, didn't we? It was a great day. It was warm and it was dry, and we saw what the fire does in that kind of condition. Now, we've all lived on the coast. We know we have good days and bad days when it comes to fire. Yesterday was not a day to put a fire out. Today is. So we're going to take advantage of those opportunities and start working toward this. So yesterday, this fire touched Elk River Road. Finally, we have a place where we can start anchoring. Finally, we have a place where we can stop the advance, get the smoke out of the air, get the heat out of that fire, and start getting you folks ready to go back to your homes. So that's going to be our mission with this new team. I met with the ICs and ops earlier today, and the opportunity cannot be missed because we know how fall weather goes, right? It'll be nice for a few days, and then we'll get that dry, hot afternoon day again where the wind blows and the humidity goes way down. So we have to take advantage of this in the next 5 days. So That's my words to you. Several of the things that are taking place is structure protection. So from the hatchery down, we've brought in Tyson Krieger from Gold Beach. He's worked with us a lot on fires. He gets how to coordinate and communicate with people and get things ready in case we have a time of need. And so if we have something that bothers us above the hatchery, then we'll enact those sort of plans and we'll start working toward the protection around the point sources around your homes. And I think we can be successful with that. We're not going to plan on doing that because we're going to anchor the fire above the hatchery for now. Now, we have a lot of things going on outside the edges. We're at the 4-mile mark. We're up in Moore Mill Ground. We're on China Mountain. We're in the tribal grounds. We're on Dry Creek. Those are just us being there and putting those lines in because we know how to work with the locals. We know the road systems, our overhead understands how to do that. And then the Forest Service resources and the team will work on the Elk River hatchery, those lines to start helping with the anchor, and we'll help assist with that. So that's kind of where we're at, and it's going to be a bit. So one of the things you'll see daily is aircraft support of this. We're not gonna leave this without getting this thing anchored and getting it safe for you to go back to your homes. I'll finish with this. It's been a long season, and all of our firefighters are getting short of tired, so be a little patient with us if we get cranky at times. We do. Right, Dan Cronis? But we are the professionals, and we will work hard at this every day. And you can rest assured that we're going to have our A game with this fire, because even though it's late in the year, it's still a fire that has to be dealt with, and then we will take that seriously to the end. And one thing I do tell my firefighters is we are one day closer to rain. Matt, you want to finish that?
Yeah, I'll take that one.
Thank you, guys.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's warm in this room. My name is Matt McFarland. I'm the incident commander with Great Basin Team 4. I'm the one that Jesse mentioned from Wyoming. Took me 2 days to drive here, and you may be wondering, what does somebody from Wyoming or other parts of the Great Basin know about our community and our fire? Well, this is what we do. We go from community to community, different forests and state agencies, and we work with the local communities. We like to talk about our team, Team 4, but as you heard, all the speakers tonight talked about how we are all working together to contribute to the success of this incident as much as we can. And really, we're on your team, the community here, we're on your team to help you through this as best that we can. I can pledge that, and thank you, Dan, for saying this earlier, I can pledge that we are working as hard as we can with the resources that we have, that we can get from all over the country to stop this fire from damaging your homes and property. We are working as hard as we can to do that. Evacuations are hard, they're disruptive, they're stressful, and we know that that is a part of what is happening now. We have over 100 people evacuated currently, and the fire is threatening over 200 more structures currently. That's just the structures. We also have all of the timberlands, we have the tribal lands up to the north, and those are all the values that we're working with every day, planning, trying to come up with different strategies to keep this fire from impacting those in a negative way. Our objectives are clear. The sheriff talked about it, Mike just talked about it, Brad talked about it. It's the safety of the firefighters and the public is number one. We've had some serious injuries on this fire already. We talked about the helicopter injury. We had a chainsaw injury that was very significant as well because of the steep, slippery terrain out there. We also, another objective is to make sure that you guys are getting information, real-time information, that is valuable and valid. And as was mentioned, Jessie and her shop in the information group with our team are determined to make sure that you have the inside scoop, if you will, of what's going on with the fire in as near real time as we can give it to you. We also really want to develop and implement our coordinated suppression actions. That just means we're working together with all the resources that have been here. The state, the county resources. It's so nice to know that when we do have fire imminently getting ready to impact structures or private lands, that we have resources from the county and the state that we can call on, and they're coming. And we know they're coming, and they're going to help us all out, our team here in this community. We have challenges, and you've heard them all. The high suppression difficulty, that's kind of a gobbledygook, maybe government word, but that's what it is. The fire does not go out easily in this fuel type. It's dry. It's historically dry here. And it's steep, and the fuels are difficult. Extremely dry, and there's gravity hazards out there. Things rolling, you don't think about it necessarily, but lots of things, especially in the burned area, let loose and roll down the hill, and that's a huge hazard to our firefighters. Other challenges, smoke and visibility. Frankly, if we can't fly, the firefighters have a harder time committing in to work with the water that those aircraft bring in there. And if we can't fly, it's harder to get engaged directly with the fire to help reduce those risks. And then the weather. We can't control it. We know it's coming. There's some east winds predicted later next week, and we know it's coming. There's nothing we can do about it other than to prepare and try as hard as we can to hold the fire where it is and pick it up where we can safely do that. We are working with our partners to do everything we can to protect your homes and property. That is why we're here, and I feel like we have really good coordination with our state and local cooperators, the federal firefighting resources that are coming in. We have a good team assembled, and we're going to do the best we can to keep that, keep your homes and property safe. I think, Jessie, you're up for some questions. Thank you.
Okay, we have been in here for about 45 minutes now, and as Matt pointed out, it is getting warm. We have about 200 people here in the room. So what I'd like to do is call a bit of an audible and highlight a couple of the most frequently asked questions that we get, and then go ahead and break out into conversation and questions around here. There's a lot of us who are from the team or from any one of the local agencies and cooperators, and we will stick around until the last person is out of here and make sure that all of your questions get answered. One of the questions we get a lot is about the evacuation areas, and we do have links in the update that you got when you came in, or that you might grab on the way out, and also posted on all of our social media and on NCWeb, where you can go into that county link and put in your address, and it will show you whether or not you're in one of those evacuation level zones. It'll tell you what level zone you're in, and give you the proximity to the fire. Well, one of the things we want to point out about that map is that it does show a mapping layer that shows where the fire is, and that will show where heat signatures were found from infrared. That map is not precise. It means that somewhere within about a football field's worth of area, there is some heat. So when you look at that, just understand that there is a margin of error for those boxes that are on there. It will give you precisely whether or not you're in an evacuation zone, but just understand that the infrared portion of that has some variability, and don't worry too much about how precise that is on there. We do put out maps every single day on all those same websites and places that I mentioned, and that's the more accurate fire perimeter description than what you would find in that interactive map. A lot of aircraft, a lot of equipment, a lot of people that are, again, out working on these fires, as you've heard from all these folks tonight, and a lot of coordination to support them. They appreciate the support from the community, and I want you to know that very definitively, that they are being well cared for out there, and they appreciate your care and support also. One of the other things that was mentioned is the potential for east winds again next week. We're looking at these next couple of days as an opportunity to get a lot of work done in anticipation of some more high winds. And we're going to do everything we can, as Max and others said, to make sure that we're prepared for that and that it is almost planned from our perspective. We know that weather is coming, and so we're going to try and get ahead of it and get as much work as we can done between now and then. At the same time, we know what those winds can do, and we don't take that lightly. From your perspective, from the safety of our firefighters, any of that, we want you to know that we do not take that lightly, and we'll be bringing in extra resources and getting ready for that potential increased fire activity next week. With that, I do want to go ahead and just say thank you again, remind you that those information resources are out there, that we're here to support you, that although it might sound a little bit awkward, we're glad to be here. Great Basin Team 4, we are glad to be here to support your local community, to support those firefighters, to work with the cooperators and agencies who are here, because this is part of what we do, and we want to do a good job and work hard for you. So know that. And then very likely another team will be coming in behind us in about another 13 days. And they're going to have that same attitude of wanting to care for you and fully suppress these fires. So with that, please stick around if you have questions. Any of us in blue shirts, gray shirts, green pants, agency logos, be happy to answer any question you have. And we thank you for coming out here tonight.